7 days wrapped into 30 minutes. Welcome to this edition of Week in One. I'm Theodore Mashele. Let's take a quick recap on this week's top stories and interviews that made waves on eNCA. Our special focus zooms in on the rise of cell phone theft. Then opposition parties shred the president's State of the Nation address. And rape-accused televangelist Timothy Omotoso's bid to have his trial dismissed is set aside in Gqeberha. Now, the debate of the President's State of the Nation address demonstrates heavy criticism of the speech. Opposition parties have slammed the address, describing it as out of touch and a distortion of reality. Our reporter Kevin Brandt compiled this report.
ANC MPs booed as the Democratic Alliance loudly cheered in favor of calls for an alternative government.
He too knows that South Africans are worse off today than they were in 2019 when he took over that office. And he too knows that his government's time is up. The people have finally seen through your sloganeering, which does not translate to real change for the people who need it most.
The Trade, Industry and Competition Department has countered criticisms, asserting that its policies are specifically designed to stimulate economic expansion and enhance job creation efforts.
The DTIC policy supported more than 1,000 black-owned firms during this administration, from small businesses to industrial champions. They now produce goods ranging from food and furniture and clothing and to the steel and the Mercedes-Benz body panels. They employ well over 100,000 workers, and their annual turnover is more than 100 billion rand. Entrepreneurial and industrial tin swallows.
The ruling party has reiterated its claims that strides have been made in the higher education sector.
NSFAS represents one of the most progressive interventions by the ANC government. Since its inception in 1991, at the instigation, by the way, of former President Mandela, before he took over in 1994, NSFAS has funded over 5 million students. In 2024, NSFAS is going to break the 50 billion rands mark. Already, NSFAS has transferred 4.2 billion rands to our universities and colleges so that not a single NSFAS bursary student will have to pay registration fees upfront.
Opposition MPs have further stressed that the upcoming elections will provide an opportunity for the country to be set on the path towards recovery and prosperity. Kevin Brandt, Parliament.
In Johannesburg, taking out your cell phone in public areas is the quickest way to lose it. Cell phone theft is the latest crime trend to dog South Africa's streets, placing victims' personal information at risk. eNCA reporter Bafedile Muirani has more.
Many streets in Johannesburg seem to offer a sense of safety, but that's in contrast to what the latest crime stats reveal. Police say an average of 189 phones are stolen each day in South Africa, with Gauteng leading at 29% of this.
We have seen that it's not only prevalent within the Johannesburg CBD and inner city, it's also happening in affluent areas such as Sandton and Fourways and in Midrand as well.
Many of those who fall prey to criminals are left traumatized.
I think that was the worst part because I didn't know if it's going to stab us both or what was going to happen. But you know that anxiety whereby, am I going to die now, what's happening? So it was something, this thing is unexplainable. It's not a good feeling, eh?
And along with losing the device, people lose important and confidential information. For example, users' banking apps are compromised.
And that left me stranded, because my first instinct after that was, I need to take out my phone and phone somebody to let them know that this happened, and then the realization that my phone is gone.
There is a little comfort and hope for safety, even as the Gauteng government installs some 6,000 CCTV cameras along strategic points. The aim of the project is to prevent and fight crime, but only time will tell whether the strategy will make any significant inroads. Bafetile Moerane, Johannesburg.
Now, rape-accused televangelist Timothy Omotoso has lost yet another court battle. His bid to have his trial dismissed has been denied. The application by the Nigerian national and two of his co-accused comes as the defense tries to prove that the trial has been unfair. eNCA's Ronald Masinda was in court.
A frail-looking Timothy Omotoso remains defiant that one day he will be a free man. I spoke to him about his health shortly after the court was adjourned.
How's your health?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Is
I'm
it?
okay, yeah.
You've lost a lot of weight since the last time you appeared.
As a man of God.
What is wrong? Are you worried that this case will finally be finalized? Are you worried that you'll finally be acquitted from all the charges?
All in those hands. In those hands. He knows the end from the beginning.
And while the so-called man of God continues to receive support from his congregants, the ANC Women's League in the province remains hopeful that his alleged victims will eventually get justice.
We are really excited and we are not demoralized at all that it has been postponed for the 24th of June. We will be here again on the 24th so that we support the victims and we shall wait for the judgment of the case.
The trial has been dragging on for several years now since the arrest of the Nigerian national in April 2017. And despite numerous delays, the National Prosecuting Authority remains hopeful that 2024 will finally see a conclusion to the trial.
Now that the court has set a date for the trial to proceed, we believe that at least justice now will be done at the end of the trial, because the court dismissed all the 5 applications for entries that they made, the special applications, and only allowed one that relates to the conduct of the former prosecutor.
The trial that continues to divide opinion between those representing the Jesus Dominion International Church and members of the ANC Women's League is expected to continue on the 24th of June. Ronald Masinda, Gqeberha.
Unemployed doctors in KwaZulu-Natal are appealing to the government to reprioritize the budget in order to absorb them. There are about 200 unemployed doctors in the province. eNCA Siphamandla Goge has more.
Young, highly educated and skilled, but unemployed in a country that's facing a shortage of doctors. Unemployed doctors say they can help the overburdened public healthcare system if they could be absorbed.
It's 30 years into democracy. I think it is very disappointing that we find ourselves in a situation where doctors are unemployed. And that is precisely because when it comes to healthcare crisis that we are having at the moment, it affects not only us at personal levels, but it affects the patients that we're supposed to be seeing at the hospitals and the clinics.
Others have dismissed allegations that some doctors don't want to work in rural areas.
We are frustrated, we are hurt, we love our communities, and this thing of saying we don't want to go to rural areas, it's false information. I was working at a rural area with no problem. I even got a certificate for best ComServe doctor. I have a whole lot of certificates for best doctor in the hospital, but today I'm unemployed.
Government says it's facing budgetary constraints, but is working on addressing the challenge.
There is a progress, so I just want to say, if someone asks, were you taken by surprise? Not at all. We were not taken by surprise. There is a bigger pool of doctors. It's the fiscus that is just giving us a challenge in terms of getting all of them, but we are committed to do all that.
Unions don't buy the government's explanation.
It normally takes 6 years to train one doctor. They are telling us for 6 years they've been sleeping. They are saying to us their budget have been cut. Whose problem that their budget has been cut?
While government scrambles to find money to place unemployed doctors, the biggest loser is the already overburdened, crisis-ridden public healthcare sector and patients who have to wait for long hours to see overworked doctors in understaffed facilities. Siphamandla Goge, Pietermaritzburg.
Now stay tuned to Week in One. Coming up, we look at some of the most talked about interviews that our anchors have conducted this week. Now welcome back to Week in One. I'm Theodore Mashele. Gauteng is keeping a close eye on criminals with the launch of 6,000 CCTV cameras across the province. Premier Panyaza Lesufi is confident that this initiative will clamp down on out-of-control crime. But will he succeed? eNCA's Gareth Edward had this discussion with the Premier.
6,000 is a lot of cameras. Where are you getting them, and how do we know this is going to help?
It's almost 15,000, Gareth, to be quite frank. What we've done, we've signed this partnership with Vumakem, and I have to thank them. The negotiations were tough, difficult, but finally we've got almost 6,900 cameras from them. We've got 400 additional cameras from Sanral. Sanral have cameras all over the freeways, so we are going to also pick up that feed. We are sending the entire feed to our central command center. So there are 8 municipalities that also have CCTV cameras. That is another 4,000 or so that we are taking from these municipalities, Johannesburg, Tshwane, Midvaal, and other municipalities. So we'll add that. So we've also approached various private companies who have also their own CCTV cameras around where they operate. So we're also pulling that feed, including individual households who have cameras closer to main roads so that we don't duplicate. We'll also pull that. So almost 15,000 odd cameras, because there are 2 areas where we have crime in Gauteng. It's human beings, hence the cameras, and motor vehicles. Every crime, especially violent crime in our province, can be cash heist, kidnappings, murder. A car is involved. And our licensing regime was very bad. So we will launch new number plates in Gauteng from the 1st of April, so that aspect is closed as well. You can't duplicate, you can't do silly things.
Now, the ANC party will have to hand over all records of cadre deployment to the DA. The Constitutional Court refused to grant the governing party leave to appeal on an earlier High Court ruling. eNCA eNCA Tami Ngubeni had this conversation with Paul Hoffman.
We've heard Panyaza Lesufi and others within the African National Congress saying cadre deployment is actually nothing new, and it's something that governments do around the world. Even within the Western Cape, they use that example, saying obviously a government will want to put its own people in positions of power and influence, but that those people should be adequately qualified, and therein should be the area of focus. Are these people actually adequately qualified to fulfill the portfolios that they've been put in?
Well, I've got bad news for Panyaza Lesufi, and it's not the only bad news he's going to get in the next little while. The courts have already discussed and decided on the legality or otherwise of cadre deployment. I'm referring to the case of Molokoti versus the Amatola District Municipality. What happened there was that one meritorious candidate was chosen by a district municipality to become its municipal manager on merit because he was the best candidate for the job. The ANC's cadre deployment committee intervened and said, sorry, no, that other candidate that you rejected is a loyal cadre of the ANC, and he must be appointed as the municipal manager. What happened then was that Mr. Molokoti took that decision on review, and he succeeded. The court dismissed the cadre deployed in his place and substituted him as the municipal manager of the Amatola District Municipality, because the Constitution requires that good human resource management practices be kept in place when people are being employed into positions in the public administration and in the state-owned enterprises.
Now, unemployed doctors might soon get to put their qualifications to use if Health Minister Joe Phaahla has his way. or so he says. eNCA eNCA Masego Rahlaga spoke to Claude Naika from the Public Servants Association.
Why does it always have to get to this point where people protest and down tools for our government to act?
It always emanates, or it comes to a standoff where we have to show some sort of resistance, or we go on a strike action or on a demonstration to bring this to the attention of government or for the Department of Health. And we've been pursuing this for a number of years to say, you train these doctors, surely you would have planned in advance to say, yes, I've trained so many doctors this year, and let's see how we can actually post them or we can place them in suitable institutions that their qualifications can be utilized. What is the sad fact about this is that this has been going on for a number of years now, and we don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. However, we need to be optimistic, emanating from what the minister has said, the Minister of Health, and let's hope that whatever plans that he has in place materializes. I think one of the things that we need to look at as well, and why we don't remain optimistic all the time, is that since 2017, the health sector on its whole hasn't been employing staff, be it nurses, be it doctors, be it porters, and this has put a severe strain on the health services, because currently you have staff that are doing the jobs of 3-4 people. They then become very fatigued, they get burnt out. This leads to them taking sick leave on a continuous basis. This puts an additional burden on existing staff that are currently rendering service. And we noticed this trend ever since COVID-19 emanated, where we found a dire need of health services employees in all the institutions, even in the clinics.
Now stay tuned to Week in One. Coming up, the latest on the trial of self-confessed sex worker serial killer Sfiso Mkhwanazi, as well as what happened in the trial within a trial in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial this week. Welcome back to Week in One. I'm Theodore Mashele. Now, the state has called Sergeant Bongani Mbonambi to the stand in the trial of alleged sex worker serial killer Sfiso Mkhwanazi. eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila has been following this case and has the latest.
The conclusion, my lord, that we came up with is that this room was used as a slaughterhouse.
The investigating officer described a room in the panel beating workshop in Johannesburg where he believed Mkhwanazi's victims had been repeatedly raped before being killed. He questioned why Mkhwanazi would tie up the dead bodies after he had already strangled them to death, as suggested in his testimony. He's disputed the 21-year-old's claim that the killings weren't planned.
The way they are tied up, my lord, you do that if you don't want a person, one, to run away, to scream. So that is why these bodies were tied up. So the possibility here, my lord, from our own investigation, we might have a situation where the accused will tie up these victims like this in order to be able to rape them not once, but repeatedly, as they couldn't run and they couldn't scream. My lord, the amount of used condoms we found on the scene, it makes logical sense to what we are saying.
He believes that after killing the sex workers, Mkhwanazi would then scatter the bodies around the workshop where they were eventually discovered.
Even on the stairways leading to that room, there was blood that was found. There was blood that was found. That indicates these bodies might have been dragged from the room downstairs. You could see the blood somebody tried to clean, but our experts were able to retrieve.
As Mkhwanazi's trial draws to close, Mbonambi will continue his testimony on Monday. Aviwe Mtila, Johannesburg.
The magistrate and the police lied. That is the assertion from accused 2, Bongani Ntanzi, in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. He claims that he didn't make a second confession and only signed the documents because he was promised a bath. eNCA's reporter Manqoba Mchunu was in court.
Accused 2 Bongani Ntanzi denies making a second confession before Magistrate Vivian Cronje at the Boksburg Magistrates Court on the 24th of June 2020. He says he was never questioned by Cronje and was given prepared documents to sign.
She said, deponent
confident, making good, direct eye contact.
No, my lord, she is telling lies.
So why was she not confronted with this?
My lord, I would request not to answer for Mr. Mgomezulu.
But the state disputed this by presenting a pro forma document that is signed on the day.
Do you have a scar on your right side on your forehead?
Yes, there is, my lord.
And then this is what she has to say regarding that particular scar in court. She said, scar healed, right side forehead, allegedly sustained when he was very young.
As to where she got this that she wrote down here, I don't know, because she never even asked me.
So you're saying the magistrate was trying to mislead the court when she said you sustained this injury whilst you were still young?
She was making a mistake, my lord, because she never asked me.
Ndanzi argues that the lead investigating officer, Brigadier Bongani Gininda, also lied that Ndanzi introduced lawyer Ntokozo Mjiako as his legal representative the day before.
Brigadier Gininda testified in this court that you, out of your own will, introduced Mr. Mjiako to him.
My lord, that is a lie, because how would I have then posed the questions or asked him the questions in Boksburg as to who sent you here? Even this document, my lord, I'm saying that this is a big lie before this court.
Ndanzi and Sibiya are fiercely contesting the alleged confessions, saying they shouldn't be admitted as evidence. Manqoba Mchunu, Pretoria.
Now, we always knew that Tyla was talented and she would make a big impact in the music industry. Proud words from her former choir teacher at Eden Glen High School. The songstress has made South Africans proud after scooping a Grammy for her hit song Water, which makes her the youngest African to receive a Grammy. I filed this report.
Oh my, what the heck? What?
This is the moment when 22-year-old Tyla made history. Her early years were filled with the love of music and always took control.
Oh, Tyla was just a joy. Every time she was at choir, everyone was excited, everyone was happy. You know, it will be nice at choir. She will lead songs and she will also give the choir members the tune, how the song is going to be started, what tune we're going to be following. So she was always very tuned into music.
Former choir teacher says Tyla was dedicated to the arts.
But she was also a head of culture. So she handled that whole cultural portfolio. So here at Eden Glen High. So, but she was into really music to a result where when they were doing plays, right? She will take lead songs where she has to sing. Those lead roles that she will take in the plays, they had to be singing. So that's how Tyla was into music.
Some of her former teachers say her Grammy should encourage authorities to focus more on creativity and arts education.
So I think sometimes as schools, if our focus is only on academic, we lose out on children who could do very well in whatever talent that God has given them. So I think it's quite important. And not only even culture, even on the sporting field, you know, some of the children will only get to know what they are good at if they are given an opportunity.
Her impact goes far beyond her school. Even our own president jumped into the bandwagon, dancing to Tyla's viral water challenge.
We are on the map once again. We were on the map with the rugby and then the football, getting into the semi-finals, and you became the cherry on top.
Her win has attracted hundreds of thousands of congratulatory messages from public figures.
She can dance, she can sing, and she is taking the world by storm.
And of course, of super proud South Africans.
Make me sweat, make me harder, make me lose my breath.
Her fans are now waiting for the songstress to bring the golden gramophone onto home soil.
And I know I'm forgetting some things, but I want a Grammy!
Theodore Mashele, Johannesburg. And that's the end of this week's edition of Week in One. From myself and the team, have a great weekend.